has a interesting story, man. Even so, that label that you see looks a bit old, yeah, very old-fashioned. But it's a vin de Monsieur le Baron de Montfaucon. In fact, I found some of this label in the castle, and I could date it. And they dated from 1829. 1829. So it's probably one of the oldest label from the Rhone Valley, and even in France.
You have to remember they weren't bottling then. Everything was going out in cask. So
Yeah,
to be bottled with a label in 1829 was at the very beginning, very beginning.
And the guy was bottling because he was proud of his wine of Montfaucon. And when you look at this, this is a piece of art. It's a beauty. It's a lithography. And when I had this label, I said, what am I going to do with that? You know, am I going to do a super Baron Louis, even more concentrate? You understand? This is not my style. So I just have to think. It took me 2 years. I'm slow. I'm slow. It took me 2 years to do what I'm going to do with this label. And then I think, okay, if I look at my work, I'm very interested in all the diversity of the grape, having plenty for looking for the balance. And then I thought that having all those grapes in the Rhone Valley was a real heritage that we should keep. And then I think this is the way to adapt more grape to soil, because we have a lot of different soil in a small area. And having the choice of having those grapes help to find the best combination between the soil and the grape, right? So I wanted to keep that, even if at that time most of the people are going for Rhone wine, Grenache Syrah, Grenache by itself, and it's good. I like 100% Grenache, and I like 100% Syrah wines. But I think from this region, it was one of the advantage to have so many grapes to play with. It was options, and all those grapes came over 2,000 years of selection from the Romans. So, and some come from north, some come from south, Spain, some come from Italy, because Rhone was a way of transport. So they didn't arrive in the area just by chance. And I thought, why should we not consider some of those grapes, like Counoise? You probably not very often heard about it. Aubin, Vacarès, and all that forgotten grape, I call them. And so this part of my thinking came, and then I think, how was the vineyard before? I have a very old vineyard in the States, over 150 years old, 140 years old. And this vineyard is complanted. It's not only one single grape vineyard, there's many grapes in the field. It's a field blend. So when I looked at tanks in the winery, the two open fermenters tanks, I said, when they were doing vintage, they were picking everything together and making the wine this way. And that comes with my philosophy of having balance with all the different grapes, and each grape will bring something. Somewhere overripe, somewhere underripe, somewhere ripe admixture, somewhere white grapes, and bring different flavors. And it's exactly what I'm trying to do with that. It's a co-fermentation of 16 grapes. All the grapes I've got in the estate. I don't have the field blend of that. I've got field blends of 3, 4, 5 different grapes. But I make that blend. And it's it's only one tank, and it's a fun tank to make. I go in the vineyards when I think it's ready, pick, like cherry picking. Bitter this, bitter that. Don't ask me the percentage of it. I have no idea. I just do by the feeling, like cooking. When you cook, a bit of this, a bit of that. Oh, I should add that, and then you taste it. And this is the way I make the wine. And in terms of the winemaking, we do like I imagine they were doing at that time. So put all in the tank. I don't touch. And then you use yeast and a little bit of pigeage, but not much. And then when it's finished, I rack it by gravity into barrels. Finish the alcoholic fermentations and mallow fermentation in the barrel like it used to be. And then in 100%, because it's the way they used to do it at that time. The idea is to keep naturally from the beginning that spatial balance and complexity with all the grape. And you know in the cooking to understand, you don't need a lot of spice, you don't need a lot of salt or pepper or whatever to change, transform your plates. And that's the idea of all those forgotten grapes that were in the Rhone Valley, but not anymore, because people say we want to focus only on the Grenache, on the Syrah, because those two grapes makes great wine straight away. But I think having all the other compounds give interesting options. And that this one shows. And when I have my friends from Burgundy tasting this wine, they say, oh, it's a Rhone wine, but it has a different balance than any of the others. And that's why it's interesting, and I think it's because it's only made, there's one black sheep, but there's only one with Rhone grape. And it's interesting to give you another picture of what Rhone wines could be. I think it's fun.